starting OBS because we're not gonna edit. These guys are bringing it hot again. This is the Clips podcast. I learned it's a Clips podcast. I really enjoy these guys a lot. They have a lot of things I disagree with. They do have a lot of good takes. Sucks. It's everything I wish our podcast could have been. We had a lot of things that were more so covered news that was up to date. We didn't really go back and rethink other things and stuff like that. But I mean, you're gonna want to hear these out. I mean, if you're a superhero comic book fan, you're gonna want to hear a lot of these things out, and it's good things to bring up and talk about. So I was cleaning up stuff on YouTube, and this popped up, and I was just like, I thought I saw something about this. So it's interesting. We're losing origin stories. We're going to lose. What? We are losing origin stories. We are going to lose. Okay. But let's start it off and get a little into it. I only got like 10 seconds in, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm editing something right now, but I will record one of these because I think this is very interesting.
We're going to lose Origins very quickly. Superman and Fantastic Four, they haven't done the best box office wise, but critically they are very well reviewed. I think we are going to be in an Origin apocalypse the next 5 to 10 years. We are not going to get Origins on anybody. X-Men I want.
So, I don't know if I'm against this. I was super happy that Spider-Man, the Batman, Fantastic Four, what else could we jump into? What else? I would say Black Panther. That's all I'm going to go with right now. But movies like that didn't show from their youth, their training, their moment they become a hero, I'm okay with it. Someone like Black Panther, we really didn't get anything, but it's kind of told around the story about how he's a king and this and that. It's referred to a lot that we don't need to see like the day he's decided to be the Black Panther and they're going to let him take over the mantle. But the biggest ones are Spider-Man and Batman and Superman, like they said. Superman, we all know the story. Kryptonite son, sent to Earth. We know Spider-Man, Uncle Ben dies, and Batman, parents die. They all turn into superheroes. Now, I went on here. There's another video I have where I talked about the origin of Spider-Man. Supposedly, is going to be different than the MCU. They may never touch it again, which I don't mind them not touching it because it hasn't affected anything yet. The only thing that's affected is Aunt May said the famous line, not Ben, and we don't know what Ben did. So something or what happened to Ben. We don't know what happened to Uncle Ben. Now, is that a bad thing? At first glance, it kind of is, but then after so much has gone on and then someone brings it up, then you're like, wait a minute, they didn't bring up Uncle Ben's death and how it all happened and why he started fighting crime in his little ghetto hoodie beanie mask. But is it necessary now? Is it going to irk some people that, oh man, I'm never going to find out? Maybe, but we don't really need it. And I am all for that. The world has seen so many of these stories come out through the years that people are pretty familiar, like Fantastic Four. You don't really need a whole origin story to set it up. Or you do kind of what Fantastic Four did and you recap it in some way so it's an easier story. Someone like Wolverine doesn't need it. He has a mysterious past, which we did get an origin comic, and I didn't really care that Wolverine was better as a mystery in my opinion. But there are certain characters that just don't need it. But then there's that may need it more than others. But I'm trying to think who coming out, like Shang-Chi needed somewhat of an origin story. Throwing him out, I think you'd have questions. Especially that he's not really known. He's probably like a C-list Marvel character. I don't see him being like super up there where people all are knowledgeable of him, but enough for people like Marvel movies and they're like, I'm gonna go see this, and then not just throw him in Shang-Chi world and not know it. They made it very fitting to fit in the MCU world with the Mandarin, quote unquote Mandarin, and connect to the Ten Rings and all that kind of stuff. So that made it work, but it kind of set itself up on its own origin. So some are gonna need it. But I'm interested, like, again, I haven't gone far in this. I'm interested on what they're going to say about origin stories going away, because I kind of don't mind it with a lot of these. Especially, like, thinking about the X-Men. I think X-Men could just show up. You guys, most people are as old as me. If you're around my age, you watched the X-Men back in the 90s cartoon. Granted, I read the comics before that, but you get just thrown in it just like any other cartoon story. You didn't have to know much about anybody. You kind of learned their personalities. We didn't know how the origin of each character. And most of the people that were kids that's how they got exposed to X-Men. And they didn't need a whole thing about how each person got what happened, I should say, when they mutated. We did see some, they did show some, but at the same time, kids weren't stupid. They just were okay with it. This is a thing. They all turned to mutants. Okay. And you move on. So I really want to know what they're going to say.
Give me the original class. I don't.
The original class is tricky because it's like 5 very similar type. Like their powers are different, but they're all like similar people.
I get that.
Like Bobby Drake.
I don't really give a fuck.
The only way
I would have 8 then. I think you need Storm. I think you need Nightcrawler. I think you need Colossus.
But give them origins. I
want origins, but I would do special presentations. I would do world.
These are the reasons we're going to lose origins very quickly.
I disagree hardcore because I remember they wanted to do a series of origin movies: Wolverine origins, Magneto origins, and Gambit origins. Those were the ones that were all set up to come out. Wolverine origins did not do well, so they decided to shift a little bit. They were going to do Magneto origins. The Magneto origins turned into First Class. First Class was a way better movie than what could have been a Magneto story, I believe, because it focused on a lot of different aspects, and I think Magneto, having Professor X a lot in it, balances it out, and they kind of need each other to tell each other's story, and having the X-Men in there kind of makes it more interesting. So we did get an origin story, basically, of Magneto and Professor X in a way. Did we need it? Not really, but it's something they wanted to try since we already went the other route and we got the characters. So they wanted to do something new. That's more reason why they did an origin, maybe with Magneto and Professor X, when they met, and how this all became to what it is, and creating the X-Men. They weren't X-Men yet in the beginning. He was just looking out for kids that had powers, but it was more so, I think, Marvel trying to find, or Fox, whatever it was, Fox, trying to find a new way to revamp the X-Men to make people want to watch them again. So I get that, but do they need origin stories for every character? This guy's saying, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know if it says his name. I don't see it. Saying that he wants like mini movies, basically, like the presentation, like The Punisher was, like a 40-minute thing about Nightcrawler, 40-minute thing about Colossus. We can't do that. We really can't. You could do a lump group of characters, like the X Factor, in a small story, maybe. I still don't think that's enough, but we kind of can't. It takes too long. And on top of it, people don't need to know everything about these characters. You give enough character in the way they're portrayed to understand where they're from. Huge example, and probably everyone hates it, Guardians of the Galaxy. I guarantee you, probably 75 to 80% that saw that movie knew nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy. Not to mention, the Guardians of the Galaxy was a whole different team. They changed to that team, and even that team had different people on it. So, I honestly think all those people didn't know, and we end up knowing these characters by the way they acted, the way we've seen things. We see Rocket's back with looks like he's been worked on. Drax talking about his family. Gamora having ties to Thanos. Groot being just this Groot, and he's stuck with Rocket like as a best friend. We got to learn a lot of stuff during the story, and I think that's a big factor, and that's what you have to do with the X-Men.
Superman and Fantastic Four, they haven't done the best box office wise, but critically they are very well reviewed. Anybody? X-Men,
Key because it's like 5 very similar type. 8 then. I think you need Storm. I think you need Nightcrawler. I think you need Colossus.
But give them origins. I
want origins, but I would do special presentations. I would do Werewolf by Night.
They're not doing that. They're not doing that for the X-Men.
They need something. They need something beyond the
They're
first
doing
movie.
movies for the X-Men.
But then they should get, I think, individual some things before the movie. That's
Correct.
all of them.
That's the only way I'd be okay with the seniority in the classes, is if we get all of these characters individually and we get their origins.
Yeah.
And then when we come into the group movie, them already being in the classes.
To me, that seems too much like we're going to do Avengers. And there's too many X-Men to do that. There is a lot of Avengers, but there's too many X-Men to do it to give them all origin stories. We don't need it. X-Men 1 to me is not the greatest. It didn't age well for me. I loved it when it came out. Huge Wolverine fan. But we got enough in those stories that we didn't need to learn more about Rogue. We didn't need to learn more about Iceman. We didn't need to learn more about Cyclops. We just got enough to tell the story. So to jump into this world of X-Men, we're not going to get 20 X-Men at one time. Let's be real about that first. We're probably going to get 5 or 6. And, you know, even Beast showing up, let's say, at the end of, what was it, the Marvels, people weren't scratching their head going, who's this guy? I want to know where he's from. How did he become blue? How did he become furry? There was no worries about that. We just had him in the movie. X-Men fans, Marvel fans knew who he was. They were pumped, because I was pumped. But we don't need an origin story for Beast. We don't need that. Beast had his own comic. It was odd. It was different. But it really never felt like we needed a Beast comic even. Like, you don't really want to see the adventures of Beast. You want to see the adventures of Beast in the X-Men, because he plays such a cool, crucial part. The only person that's going to really be interesting are people like Cyclops, Wolverine, people that have a core to the X-Men and that are a driving point to the X-Men story. Exactly why we got Professor X basically movie with First Class, same with Magneto. Cyclops is a little different because it's just not as a popular character as those ones. But yeah, I don't know.
This would
Just
be a little
some
bit
established thing
we're,
first.
We're saying things that we want. At one point, do we look at reality? This is not happening. Jake Schreier is directing an X-Men movie. We don't know anything about a Cyclops movie or a Jean Grey movie or a romance notebook. So all of what we're talking about this entire episode is fantasy.
100%.
So what we know what's happening is there is an X-Men Jake Schreier movie. What do we want from that? I want it to be an origin.
I don't want X-Men to be an origin. We've already kind of got it with the first X-Men, and we got First Class. And if you haven't caught up with any of that X-Men, you're not a Marvel fan, superhero fan, movie fan. Sorry, you're at the loop then. But we don't need another origin story. You can start off with the original 5. I don't mind that at all. Keep Wolverine far away. That's fine. Wolverine will steal the show. You don't need that. Let's focus on characters. Let's focus on Cyclops, for Christ's sake. Let's make him something. I'm a little over Jean Grey. I'm a little over exhausted with her. Every trilogy focused so much on her power, it gets exhausting. But yeah, let's not get an origin. You could do maybe the first 5 years in. They already are the X-Men. They're already fighting the Brotherhood of Mutants. The mutant prejudice is going to be a thing again. I don't know how I feel about going through that again. We've gone through it through the cartoons. We've gone through it every X-Men, but that is what the X-Men were made for. Yeah. But as far as origins go, yes, I think they're going away, and it's smart for most of them. And the X-Men, I don't think need an origin story. You literally could do a Fantastic Four recap that Professor X back in the day was taking care of kids, but you don't even need to, because literally, like, we all know what happened, how it started, and what all went. They even showed how we got paralyzed in First Class. We don't need to see that. Interesting enough, Deadpool got an origin in Deadpool, and that was kind of cool how they did the flashbacks. I don't mind it because Weapon X is such an interesting concept around that, and it tied into his villain in the movie. I could kind of get it. You could have done it without it, but for his motive against the villain, it made sense. And to tell why he looks like that is because he's trying to cure his cancer and all that kind of stuff. Makes sense. I wouldn't be mad. Or I'm not that mad that there's an origin with Deadpool because of how it all worked and played out. People don't know Deadpool. People see him everywhere, but people just think he's a funny guy. It's kind of annoying. He's like the Harley Quinn of Marvel now. It sucks because not trying to gatekeep Deadpool, but Deadpool was like, you know, a cool dude, but now he's like everywhere. And everybody knows him, but no one really knows him. So the movie did give a little bit of more for them to kind of grab onto and understand why he is the way he is and why he went through what he went through. And it's actually a terrible story that he went through to become this funny, laughing guy that's always having a good time. Actually went through hell. So that kind of makes sense for origins, but other than that, you can work around them like that with Shang-Chi. That's fine. Deadpool. But for these big guys, X-Men included, I don't think we need Origins. We don't. We're so far away from it. It's been on forever. We've had too many incarnations of it. That's what I'm saying. We're shutting off OBS. Hopefully these guys got more stuff for me to talk about, because I got no one else to talk about or talk to it with. But I'll make other videos. I don't care. I'll keep making them. And yeah, no more Origins. That's it. Thank you guys. No editing.